Hi guys, and welcome to another episode with the Sexy Wookiees. Today we are starting our new book, Thrawn by Timothy Zahn. It rhymes, and that makes me really happy.
Oh my gosh,
I'm your simp, Sexy 2.
Hey, it's your girl, Sexy 1.
It's your boy, Sexy Leader. Hey, you, bright eyes, let's go. I don't know how did you read that? Like, I gave it an accent first when I first read it.
I couldn't even tell who said it, because...
It was one of the goons.
Was it?
Yeah.
As it was right before Eli's action, and so I was like, why is he calling the goons bright eyes? I don't know. I was very confused.
It was one of the goons because, Thrawn's bright eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's why I was like, why would Eli say that? But it was like coincided with his action, so I didn't get it.
I want Eli to call me bright eyes.
He can call me bright eyes any day.
Guys, I am such a simp for Thrawn and Eli. It is ridiculous.
I know this is going to be a fun little series of simpness. I see we all coordinated our blues today. Very good. Well, you're blue. That's fine.
I didn't get the notice that we were, all
matching tees.
Matching, so I'm the odd man out. But
that's fine.
This is your book, so you're leading this off. That's why.
Oh, okay.
That is unique.
My braces, the rubber bands match, you guys. I got them blue on purpose for Thrawn. So
did you tell the dentist that?
No, because they already think I'm weird.
Like, this is for my chess boyfriend.
No, because I got one of my... Okay, quick side story. So it's a couple that I see, and they take turns with each appointment for my braces. And so I was talking to the husband, right? This poor man. Because I was reading on Tumblr.
This week in book club.
This week. So on Tumblr, me and a few other people just made this chiss love triangle between Thrawn and his brother from Legends, and it is the most ridiculous thing, but I love it. I'm like super deeply invested. And so I was talking to him about it, and he's like, oh, it sounds like a novella. And I was like, it kind of is, because we're basically a bunch of crackheads at this point.
You cannot tell normies about Tumblr love triangles. Are you crazy?
No, he likes it. He thinks it's a novella. But And so when I picked the blue, he said, oh, you usually get black. How come you want blue this time? And I was like, it matches the guys from the love triangle.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, oh, okay. I think he thought I meant like it's their favorite color.
Or their eyes or something. No.
It's their skin color.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, Jasmine's simping just keeps intensifying with every book that we read.
Well, I'm going to make my answer short then, because I want to hear what you think.
Oh, gosh. Well, actually, for this first round, I have a separate question for Megan and for Ronald. So.
Oh, dear. Okay.
All
interesting.
Right. I think I like where this is going.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go on now. I want to see what happens.
Okay. So, Megan, Legends Thrawn.
Ah, yes.
This is your first introduction to canon Thrawn. And so how do you feel about the introduction to canon Thrawn?
He's nerfed quite a lot. He's definitely a little more digestible, and he still comes across as very calculating, very smart, and very strategic. So that bit of his personality is still captured. But I just remember him being a lot more intimidating. And just somebody you would never want to oppose. And then it almost feels like an anime. They're like, let's put them at an academy, and now they're classmates. And I'm just like, I'm crying out loud. And I'm like,
I actually like that.
it's a completely different approach, a different setting, different situation to have him in. So yeah, it's some things remain the same, and then some things I'm just like, oh, he's so like kid friendly. I don't know if that's the way to say it, but it's because he's got to get to Rebels. He's got to be like where he gets defeated by Space Aladdin. So he can't be that good. But he was, I don't know.
I like Space Aladdin.
That's fine. You can like him. I have to say I still like Legends Thrawn better, but you get a lot more of him in this book. So it is nice if you like Thrawn, this book is better than the Legends, because in the Thrawn trilogy or the Empire and that kind of stuff, you're spending a lot more time with like Luke and Leia and Han, and it's more their story. And so this is a new thing. Like, well, let's just have the whole book be about Thrawn's journey and his thing. So it's new. It's an exciting thing. So Ronald's question, I imagine, would be,
All right, so
having not known anybody.
Yeah, so only knowing canon Thrawn, how do you feel about his introduction? Because you know Thrawn from Rebels.
A little bit, but I don't. This is where I like the very first chapter, and shout outs to the author for putting in the name Thrawn in the very first chapter, which was the end of the chapter. So I really like that. It's kind of like, you know, when they say the movie title in a movie, and you're like,
said the thing.
Yeah, and then so I kind of had that reaction at the very end of the first chapter. Let's see where we go here. I only know Thrawn like literally the moment he showed up in Rebels, when he showed up in season 2 or 3. I want to say it was 3. And I don't know anything about this. I don't know what species he was, or it was alien wise. I don't know. So it was good to get kind of like a background story on somebody who I was just always like, I hate him because he's a bad guy. And he's always, you know, messing with the team I like. And then I kind of like looked at, man, that first beginning part where they made him like, you know, like savage
like a horror
style.
movie.
I was just like, yo,
Scary.
savage. Like this, like it, that's what grasped me right away, where I was just like, yo, that's it right there. Like that's what I needed for me to just like, you know, kind of like be on this guy's you know, good side a little bit. Was that like his savagery. And so now that we are seeing this type of introductory phase to him, like I'm getting a little bit more background on what I know from only the Rebels. And so now whatever I read, this is good, because if we do end up reading anything Legends or anything that was written prior to anything new, I'll have, you know, I'll probably have a little bit more. It's like people who watched episode 1, 2, and 3 before they saw 4, 5, and 6. So that's what I have. That's my feeling with Thrawn right now. Like I'm getting the prequel to what's already gonna be in the future, and then whatever we read that's things in Legends, like I'll be able to catch up. So
Okay, nice.
Perspectives. And then Jasmine, our question to you, or your question to you, I'm sure, is knowing, I guess, same as Ronald, you watched Rebels. Did you watch Rebels?
So my knowledge on Thrawn is a little mixed. I read a lot of stuff about him over the years from Tumblr. I have seen Rebels. I know him from there. And one of my friends on Tumblr, her blog, like he's one of the dedicated characters. And so like I get to know more about him because she read Legends and knew like, she knows like everything about him. Plus like on this, besides the book club Thrawn, I'm also in the middle of reading Outbound Flight, which is Legends Thrawn.
Right.
So I've been getting like snippets of Thrawn for years already. So being able to finally read this book and read canon Thrawn, I'm just like, this is really interesting. He's a really cool character. And then comparing him to Legends Thrawn, I was like, okay, I see some differences, but at least as of right now, I really do like them both. And I really do like canon Thrawn. I think he's really fun. He's really interesting. I would love to go on like, I don't know, like a tea date or something with him and just pick his brain for hours and just listen to him talk. Especially shout out to Mark Thompson, because you make his voice like.
Are you listening to the audiobook, or are you're just talking about Rebels?
No, audiobook. So I listened to the audio because I have the audiobook on my phone. So I was listening to the audiobook while reading. And I was like, Mark Thompson,
Interesting.
I am in love with Thrawn's voice because of you. And then who does the voice of Thrawn in Rebels? Lars Mikkelsen, I think.
No idea.
Yeah, I think it's him.
No
And
idea.
his voice is pretty good too. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm already simping really hard for this hot alien. And
Is
now
there-
your
is there-
voice isn't helping because I'm just more in love.
Is
Well,
there
I
a difference in the voices between?
Yeah, are they doing the same kind
They're
of Thrawn
both-
voice?
Yeah, they're both really similar, and I really like that. Mark Thompson is amazing with the audiobook because there's other characters, even with the female characters, like he top notch. Mark Thompson, good on you. You're really
I like the
good.
little country accent he gives Eli. I'm like, oh.
You should listen to the audiobook. The little country accent is so cute.
It is. I was like, I like this guy. He's so
I'm
cute.
like my sweet boy. But yeah, so it's really fun to finally get to sit down and actually read canon Thrawn.
Yeah.
I understand what my Tumblr friends are talking about.
Here we go.
Nice.
But yeah, this is fun and I'm really excited.
Yay.
Yee. All right. So speaking of sweet country boy, what are your guys' thoughts on the other love of my life, Eli?
Oh my word. Yeah, add him to the list. That is the I was always very resistant to this idea of let's just rewrite the same Thrawn story again, except now it's in canon, so it's like a little dumber. And the saving grace is Eli. He's not in Legends, so this is a new addition to the story, and he's so absolutely precious that I'm just like, okay, it's worth it to rewrite this whole thing. Like, sure, let's throw in Eli. Like, he's adorable. I love him. I think I don't know, everybody's always talking about being able to identify with a character or whatever, and a lot of the theme in this book is people that come from like the country having to deal with being in the city, and that's my life story. So I'm like, oh, I see both the perspectives. Like, you've got Eli who ends up there and is just like fish out of water, and then what's her face, Price, that has always wanted to get out of the country and move to the city. That's a little bit more my story. So both of these people I totally get, like being surrounded by city people who have this city mentality, and like this is where all the culture and refinement, and everybody who lives out in Hicksville is just a rube and they're stupid and everything. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I know that feel. Like, it's so crazy. So like I like that perspective that they get to be able to tell. I like his character and just his struggle with like not wanting to be a part of this big crazy adventure, which is so different than a lot of the heroes that we end up having that are just like, yeah, hot shot, woo, let's go. And he's just like, I just wanted to be a supply person. Like, I don't want to be here. And getting thrown into this adventure and not liking it, but going along with it because it's the right thing to do, to stick by this person. And so watching his journey to me is more interesting than Thrawn even at this point.
Mhm.
But we'll see where that goes, because they really do become kind of a pair that need each other, and that everything that happens to them depends on the other one. It's very interesting. So I like that addition to the book. I really like his character, and to me, I'm just more excited reading about him than this version of Thrawn. So go Eli.
Is it for me?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna just go quickly into answering the question. I like Eli. He is very important. I think hopefully he is, if this is a trilogy book, he better be in all of these books. Hopefully it's kind of, because I'll first say why. Right from the start, I think it was more for me like, now don't say identities of like Gaston and who's Gaston's sidekick?
LaFou?
LaFou.
We talking
Yeah,
about Beauty and
so-
the Beast here? What's happening?
So yeah, I was like, it's just weird to me that I went straight for that type of but
Is
I'm
it
not
the
saying that
villains?
Thrawn is Gaston. I'm just saying that the pair is like, you know, this type of duo, and that's how
Oh
I
my
see
gosh.
Eli,
Cannot
because
unsee.
I picture Thrawn really tall, and you know, just like how he is in Rebels, and that's how I pictured Eli, because I didn't like, I was like, I don't have pictures of these people's. I can just picture whatever I picture my mind, whatever my mind goes. So that's what I got from that. Now, I didn't look at how Megan connected that, you know, living in a place. I was
Because
more
you grew up in the city. You're a city boy.
yeah.
You like
So
the Coruscant natives.
I am.
You
I
don't know
am a
what it's
Coruscant
like
native.
coming from a
I am
redneck
Corellia.
Hicksville.
Yeah. So it's like with him, I think it's just like what was important to me was that he goes through Thrawn's journey, whatever Thrawn needs. Now, this is very dark side, right? So I'm like, here's the thing, like, you don't know when Thrawn is gonna like totally may give this kid, like, you know, let him bite the dust kind of thing, because we know the dark side and we know like there's a lot of betrayal. I was just, you know, I'm preparing myself that there's a possibility that that could happen, that once Thrawn doesn't need him anymore, he's gonna let him bite the dust and bye bye Eli. But right now I'm a fan of Eli. I think Thrawn needs him in order to, you know, to move forward, and that's kind of like in our last book, with somebody you need to keep growing forward. Is this is what it is. But I'm being careful because I'm not too trusting of Thrawn to
As you shouldn't
identify
be.
things.
Very wise.
Yeah, yeah, you know, don't trust the bright eyes, you know.
Don't trust
Oh,
those eyes.
but Eli Vento,
Bento.
let's see what you got. I'm ready.
Rooting for you.
So I love Eli. Thank you, Tumblr. I love Eli so much
Before you
that-
even read a thing.
that yeah, side note, I was having like a real bad mental episode like a month or two ago, and I ended up in a Barnes and Noble. Don't ask me how. It just happened. And I
Happy place.
So I
Shout
had
out to
already
Barnes and
bought Thrawn Treason. Like I have a paperback, but then I ended up buying the hard copy anyway because it came with a poster that had Eli in it.
Oh, I don't even know what he looks like.
Do I want to
Hot.
see that? No, I don't want to see that yet. I want to keep my mental image of what
Exactly.
Eli in
Like
my-
picture him how you want to picture him.
yeah.
And then like
Not yet.
I also have I have a fan cast for Eli. I'll send it to you guys later.
Oh,
and
that
maybe
should be interesting. Yeah.
maybe we'll post it to Instagram if people are interested. But yeah, I just love this sweet precious cinnamon roll. And then from like the little bit that I do know, I can't wait to see his character develop, because I mean this is only the first 5 chapters, and then it just his interaction with him, his inner monologue, I just really appreciate Eli, and I feel like he is a breath of fresh air, because you know, like everyone's always just so sure of themselves, just so
Mhm.
like ambitious and smart and just like
Really good at what they do.
and I feel like I can relate to Eli in the sense that it's kind of like, I'm gonna internally panic for a minute. I still got this, but I'm gonna panic inside at least a little bit.
Yep.
You know, I sometimes get easily embarrassed too. I don't know if it's the anxiety or not, but yeah.
It's so much more human, so much more relatable than
Yeah.
you look at Finn, Rey, Poe, any of these new
Don't hate.
characters. They're just like, everybody's just like a friggin' superhuman hot shot that's just good at everything they do. Like, yeah, Eli is all of us. Eli is audience stand-in perfection.
That's why I really like Eli, and I can't wait to read more about him.
Yeah. There was the one scene where he gets called to the officers meeting room or whatever, and he goes in there and it's just like all the top brass of the military, and he's like, I shouldn't be here. And like literally this last week, one of my coworkers was like, we're going to be discussing something that's really important to you in this meeting, and I'll just secretly send you the link and you can like sneak in and just eavesdrop on the meeting. So I'm like, yeah, okay. So I click in it, I don't turn my camera on, it's like a Zoom meeting, so it's just my giant name on this square, and it's like the EVP of of marketing, and there's only like 8 people in there, so we're all on one screen. And I mean, it's like domestic marketing, international marketing, and like the very top people, the people that travel and talk to the filmmakers and stuff, and then like a few more underlings that are still 3 or 4 levels above me, and then my giant name, like the only person who doesn't have their camera on. And I was like, I shouldn't be in here, they're gonna notice. So I totally took a screen cap and sent it to my team, and I was like, guys, you have no idea what I've just done. Why am I in this meeting? They're gonna notice. And then I was reading that scene with Eli, and I was like, son, I just did the same thing. I was there. I feel it. I feel this so much. So yeah, so much relatability with that guy.
I love him. I love him so much.
For sure. Who do we gotta describe next?
So I was gonna ask about Arinda Price, but I'm kind of salty about her because of Rebels. So
I have no idea what she does, but I was like, yeah, I kind of relate to her too. Like more so,
nice.
just
That's
because she's the backwater country hick town girl that's just like, I want to live in the city where there's culture and like high class and people and there's things to do and you're not freaking bored, even though the landscape is really beautiful. Because that was my growing up years. That was me going, you know, oh, mountains, forests, I'm sick of it, sunsets, stupid, like I want to live in the city. And that's what I did. So I'm like, yeah, Price, you go, like live the dream, get it. So yeah, just related to that. I have no idea who she is supposed to be.
No, for me it was a little bit different because my eyes got wide when that name popped up, and I wouldn't have thought in a million years. Like I was waiting for something like that to happen, maybe like towards the end of the book, or maybe even the second book or third book or whatever. I wasn't expecting it in chapter 4. It was not refreshing is the word. It was more of like kind of also the same as I would say as Thrawn a little bit, what you asked me about him. But with this backstory, and I don't want to give away too much because I already know what I know. I get to say that now. Yeah, I think like I was really surprised to see her name, and then that this was her, like, you know, Price's beginning. And I was like, yes, like I already know where this potentially can go. But I'm already seeing like why, like it's already there. But I'm glad that they like it's kind of like Thrawn. I knew nothing about him. I knew nothing about Price. And now I know that mining, like you're part of you own a family business kind of thing. And then
and she's ambitious.
Is ambitious, but see, keep that in mind, you know, for you in the future, like the more you read her, Megan, because just knowing what I know already, yeah, you guys are more alike than you think. But I don't think fully though, but there is some similarities. There is some similarities. What else do I have to say about her? There was a lot of technical reading. There was a lot of math issues. And I was just like, yep, every day. I live this every day. And so I was just like,
that was your relatable
I was kind of liking it because this is the first time where how you guys always can relate reality so easily with these Star Wars books. She was probably the first one I can actually relate something like that I do. And I was just like, oh, that's really cool. Cause like, even though, you know, like it is weird because a lot of these Empire books have to do with math. And I'm not going to say what I do, just say I don't do math on weekends. But yeah, that's exactly like a lot of the terms I'm able to pick up because like things of like internal control in the systems and checking on those systems. I was just like, bet, like I got this. Like I understand exactly because I don't understand the mining business per se, but like I just understand like if you talk business, like
yeah, this was more like
relate.
running a business.
I can relate. Yeah,
shares and finances. Yeah, it is
that's
kind of.
I was just like, okay, like cool.
It's kind of your jam.
it's very interesting that that's where this character really like starts off on. And now it's just like Rebels. Like, I don't like you because you don't like my team or you're against my team. But now, like, that I'm seeing like that they
This
have
is the
this,
bad guy's
you know,
book.
pure, yeah, like, I'm not gonna say pure because I don't think bad guys are pure, but like bad guys I think have a humble start first before they reach greatness, and then when they reach that greatness
Some do,
is
yeah.
when they start to change. But I'll go into that later on if that's another question.
And
But
she would do anything to save her mom. I think that is very Ronald as well. Like
yeah, then I must be
family.
Price. I must be more like Price.
Yeah,
All right,
we can both be
I'll
Price.
take it. I'll take it. Let's see if Jasmine's Price.
What do you think about her, Jazz? You,
So
you salty though. What's up?
Well, you haven't seen Rebels, so
I have
it's
no
kind
idea.
of hard to explain, but I hate Rebels Price. Like, if she
Hmm.
were a real person and she were in front of me, I'd probably punch her in the face.
She's me.
No, trust me.
Maybe
get
not
me.
Rebels.
better.
No.
No, not Rebels.
the
Maybe
Rebels.
this one's not so bad, but like when I had to read / listen about her, I was just kind of like gritting my teeth. I was like, I don't
Oh,
care. She could like fall into a volcano and I would not care.
mhm.
She's just trying to save her family and fulfill her dreams.
Yeah, you don't want your mom working in a mining
No!
like castle.
I mean, that was very surprising. I was like, oh, she actually cares about someone. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe this book will explain like how she went from
Mhm.
this to that. So, I
I'm with
mean,
you on
that should be interesting, but I'm just so salty about her. So, that's all I gotta say.
Fine.
I'm salty
We'll
and I would
see.
love to fight her.
Okay.
Nice. 2-1 we win.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's
Team
fine.
Price.
No, it's interesting that like I never knew that about you with because we never talk about Price really when we talk about Rebels. We always talk about the Rebels.
Because she's not interesting.
No, but that's the thing. Like, I don't know. Like, when I didn't have a problem with her in the show, I just didn't like it that she was like always, you know, against the team. So that, you know, that's just always me. But yeah, I did find her annoying. Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think she's a little bit more annoying in the show, but in the book to me is like very different. And so I get to see that like that restart. So it's like it hit the restart button on Price for me, and same as Thrawn. So those two characters, like, I'm loving it right now. So, and Eli. So I'm just gonna simp with all you guys and love all the characters so far. I do hate some people, and there are some, but I don't want to get into that. That might be a later on question.
All right.
And I still have to read what that other.
Oh
two
yeah,
is
this
about.
is just the
There's so
beginning.
many.
We'll find out
I don't want to
where
get
these
too ahead
people
of
go.
myself.
There's
Yeah,
plenty of time, plenty of chapters.
yeah. We got a lot of chapters though.
All right, last question. So, what do you guys think about Eli and Thrawn's friendship? Would you call it a friendship? What do you think about their dynamic? I guess is a better word.
Very interesting. I do like that it is the mechanism which forces Eli into this hero's journey, and that you get this sense, and you can't. It's exactly like Ronald says. Like, you feel like Thrawn is using him, and doesn't really care, and will throw him away as soon as it's convenient or if it would benefit him. And so you're just like, I don't know if I trust him. And yet they end up kind of forming a bond, forming a friendship, sort of. And like for that moment, there's that moment of truth where they're getting attacked, and Eli's like, oh, if I just don't do anything, like this could solve all my problems.
Yeah.
And like, and then he gets a conscience check, and it's like, oh no, I gotta help him. And so it tells you a lot about his I don't know, his personal code and his ethics, and you're just like, you're a good guy, definitely. But meanwhile, you're like, I've got this feeling Thrawn knew this was going to happen the whole time, and he had it all planned out, and every single move he made was calculated in a way that is going to benefit him, and all the way to the point of hurting Eli to get it done.
That's good.
So it's very interesting that Thrawn is absolutely using him, and in a way Eli can use him too to rise through the ranks, although that was never his ambition. That's like that's not what he's after, but it does open up more doors for him. So they could use each other, but I don't think Eli's interested in that. So poor guy, he's stuck here, but he got to meet the Emperor, so that's cool.
Poor guy.
I know. I think it's very clever. It's a very interesting dynamic of two different personalities to pair together, because they're so absolutely different, and yet just the forcing them to work together. It's very anime. Like I don't know why this whole thing just feels so anime to me. Like, they have to pair up on this partnership, and they
that's true.
don't like each other, but they have to get along and help. I don't know. So it's interesting. Like, I think Timothy Zahn has said at some point that Thrawn is pretty much based on Sherlock Holmes, that his inspiration was, what if Sherlock Holmes was bad? What if he was evil? Like, with that level of analytic ability and being able to figure things out and think ahead and plan ahead, and just his smarts and his observation skills, put that to use for evil. So does that make Eli now his Watson? Sort of, like, except still not that capable. Like,
yes,
baby Eli, like, he doesn't know what's going on. Precious
man.
little guy, he's just along for the ride. He's not quite that Watson partner, which makes it even more interesting because it's something you've never seen, and yet Ron just like wants him around, and you're like, but why? So we'll see.
So I was gonna say, I just agree with everything Megan just said. So you can skip me, but no. This is the part where I like being the second person who answers, because I get to say I like to piggyback off of Megan's answers.
You're welcome.
Up all the way up to, at first I was just like, where's she going with the anime thing? But now that you shed a little bit more light on that, now I get to see it. Okay, so let's fix a few things differently that I did want to say. Now we can move from Beauty and the Beast, and it's the Great Mouse Detective. That's what we have.
You mean Sherlock Holmes?
These are those two. So so I like how you put that into place for me. So because that's who I was trying to figure out, like, who's this, this dynamic duo that was put together by by this author. Like, who can I relate it to that that I would understand the story better or more. And now I know what I can. I want to touch back on a lot of the things you said about like meeting the Emperor. So when I was reading that stuff, I was like, well, is this guy doing a lot of stuff through fear? Like, because knowing what the Emperor has done, like you're like a cadet and you're all the way up to, you're the highest. Like, who gets to meet the Emperor even, right? Like in that type of presence. So I was just like, man, there's something more with this Eli. So there's still a lot more to read with this character. But let me just go with the friendship. Yes, they were friends because I really like the whole fight scene after, like, Eli didn't understand what was going on with what was really going on with Eli. Just thought like, oh, they're being friendly, it's just a friendly card game. But like, I like how Thrawn immediately picked up like, this is going to go a different way and Eli's not going to know. But yeah, as once it gets to the fight scene, like that's where, I have a real friend in Eli kind of thing. So I wasn't going to go with the friendship theme. But yeah, after that fight scene, like that's where I think that's where it got created. Now
friendship.
Friends. Now I don't know where Eli can go though, right? Because we only know so much and we only know what we know about him, but his mindset is not in the Empire. So I like what Megan said about like, maybe he can use Thrawn to move up. Like, and there is that. I believe that when I was reading it, that Thrawn was, no, if Thrawn were to get to the top, like we already know, that he's just gonna automatically, because you've been with me from the beginning, Eli, you're automatically gonna be promoted, and we're gonna rise to the top together, right? But then yes, then I still have my skepticism of like, oh, Theron, no matter, like he's a savage, like that's the beginning part of it. Like that was chapter 1. Like there's no way like I can believe that, like that Theron even has one aspect of like, I'm
Yes,
gonna give this kid an
sentiment.
inch, because that's the Theron I know from Rebels, and I hope that that's the Theron. Like it's like savage. Like I want him to make me hate this character at the end of the book,
Mhm.
because that you do something like that because of just the Rebels. Before I go on a rant, Jasmine, what's up?
So since we're picking other duos that remind us of them, I kind of feel like their dynamic reminds me a little bit of from this show MASH, Hawkeye and Radar a little bit.
Oh
Oh,
my
okay.
gosh.
I mean,
Yep.
minus Hawkeye being like a total clown.
Yeah.
He's adaptable, he's smart, he knows what he's talking about, but he's also interested in learning, and that reminds me a lot of Thrawn. And then Radar, he's very content with what he does, he's very comfortable, and he's like, oh geez, pressure, you're gonna have me do something new, something else. And so
Yeah.
that reminds me of Eli. And so the dynamics kind of remind me of each other, minus the comedy part. But I really like their friendship. I can't wait to read, how it develops, what goes on,
Yeah.
their adventures and everything. So yeah, I can't wait for that. Let's see how school goes.
Yeah, I think Eli
Yes.
definitely grows a lot more in this. Thrawn is pretty much who he is, and all he's doing is learning. He's just
Mhm.
collecting knowledge and trying to figure out his enemy, or this other galaxy that he's, or whatever that he's kind of become a part of. It's really Eli that gets a character arc. He's the one who grows and learns and develops and changes. So
But
he's
I'm
the one to
definitely going to
watch.
stick to what you said, close to that, like because like Thrawn is learning fast, and like I really can relate to that, because in order for me to, like this book is not much any different from the last one, reading wise. Like I thought it was going to jump from scene to scene kind of thing, but I find myself like, uh because of the last book we read, I'm able to now be prepared for this book. And so like it's like that learning fast kind of thing. I was like, well, Theron's learning fast, I'm learning fast. Like, all
Oh,
right,
thank
like
you.
this species is weird because they can learn really fast. Like, what is it about them that allows them to do that? But I don't want to speculate. I don't like doing that. Like, I like being in the moment and enjoying it while I read. So I'll just keep my mouth quiet.
So we'll
And
see
that's that.
what happens.
Mm.
Speaking of seeing what happens, what are we reading next?
Chapter 6 through 10.
6 through 10 for next week. Okay, so we're in school, we're getting in fights. Let's see if we can make it through the next couple months and actually graduate and not get into any trouble in chapter 6 through 10. So that is it. Any other final thoughts? Are we good? Are simping levels still at survivability? Okay, good. Well,
Wait,
We're
are
fine.
there
it
already?
goes off the
Can we see
charts.
if there's already what do you call it? Those sticky post-its already?
Oh, have
Let's
you
get an
been
update
posting
on
it?
this book.
That's true.
Oh man, I've been taking notes, but I'll go back and put them in the sticky. I'll put the
Yeah,
sticky
that's
notes
all.
again. We'll check
you-
So
it.
there's
Well,
notes, but
let's check again next week when we've gone through more of the book.
That's it.
there's a
That's it.
notebook already
We'll see.
specifically for Thrawn.
It has a bunch of hearts around his name.
Blue pen
Could
and
you
everything.
imagine?
We're in school. Let's do it again.
Thrawn plus
How
Jasmine.
Sitting in a tree.
I know it is. It is school setting, so only appropriate. It's perfect.
Oh,
All right.
geez.
Well, we got our assignments, so let's all get to enjoying our week and reading. And that is it for now. So, sexy Wookiees, let's sign off and blast out of here. Sexy Wookiee.